Hello, today is August 19th, 2017. I'm Hushang Nur Mohammadi. Thank you for joining me. We will be talking about the Federalist Papers in these videos. Federalist Papers are a series of 85 papers, essays, articles written in support of the Constitution of the United States as it came out of the Philadelphia Convention in 1787. It means the Constitution, the body of the Constitution without the amendments to it. These 85 essays were written by three of the founders, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. They explain the Constitution of the United States, and they also explain federalism. And this is the part that's very important in our project and why I am going to share with you these videos. The 13 new American independent states wrote a constitution at first called Articles of Confederation. They were a confederacy, a weak confederacy, a weak union. And this was creating problems for them. And some of the wise leaders of these states decided to get together and write a new constitution and form a new federal union which was stronger, which would at least discourage or stop these states from going to war against one another and allow them to grow to be prosperous, strong, and prosper. Become a better union where they will not be, they would not fall prey to the three monarchical empires that were surrounding them. So you remember the British Empire, the French Empire, and the Spanish Empire. They all had colonies surrounding or close by these 13 new states. And they would have fallen prey to them. Those three empires would have used the weak independent states if they hadn't united. And it would have been to their disadvantage not to unite the Americans. So the wise people, wise leaders of the United States decided to get together, write this Constitution, and form a strong federal union. And we will be looking at these Federalist Papers because they are the alphabet of the language of federalism, especially as it was shaped in the United States. I believe we human beings in the future, 3, 4, 5 generations from now, we will come to our senses and decide to unite and put away this war, this distrust, this warmongering that's amongst us, and realize that we are part of one human family rather than many tribes now living in different nation states, and always with a look and feel of distrust towards one another and wasting our energy in thinking about war or warfare. So I think we should study these papers. Through these papers, we should become familiar with the concept of federalism. And I think most Americans, majority of Americans, don't know that the federal system they live under is probably the greatest gift that they will give to humanity in the future. The idea of states coming together, uniting, and prospering alongside each other, alongside one another, and becoming stronger and flourishing. So I hope that you will continue watching these videos, knowing that the language I'm speaking in, American English, is not your first language. I will try to explain things to the best of my ability without using too many complicated words. I translated these papers into Farsi, which is my mother tongue, twice over this last 2 years. So because of that, I do have a little bit of experience looking at these papers and being somewhat familiar with it. So come along with me. I know some of you will say, this is crazy, we will never unite. I say right now, looking at the world, sometimes we might think that. Looking at what's happening in the United States, we might think that. But I think we have to use what Creator of the universe has given us, imagination, to imagine that we will be something better, some were better, some do better, and work towards it. Let me give you an example, just so you know that I'm not speaking in a vacuum. When you look at the American history itself, during the time that they wrote the Constitution of the United States, these same founders, even though they were great thinkers, they could never imagine women being judges, women being surgeons, women being Supreme Court justices. And look at where we are now. They could never imagine at that time, when you read their writings, Catholics could be trusted. That Catholics will not take their order from the Pope. That Catholics would one day run for public office. That Catholics would one day become president. That Catholics would one day become Supreme Court justices. And look at where we are now. They could have never imagined an African American becoming a president. They could have not even imagined it 60 years ago. If 60 years ago, 3 generations ago, you would have gone to Americans and said, one day you will have an African American president, over 99% of them would have said, you're crazy. Go away. So we can gradually get there. America is a great country. It's a work in progress. We can learn from the American experiment in federalism. And then after that, we can learn what Canadian federalism has to offer, what Indian federalism has to offer, what Australian, German, Brazil, Nigeria, all these countries that are experimenting with federalism. We can see what they have to offer. We can try to learn from the European experiment in becoming a union. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? They had to come to their senses after 4 centuries of warfare, that they had to eventually unite. 4 centuries of warfare that culminated, that ended with World War I and World War II, that they tore each other apart, that they're finally coming to their senses that maybe we have to unite. We cannot go through this over and over again. So I think we human beings have the capability to learn from this and look at ourselves as part of a human family rather than tribes that are caged in these nation states, and we have to look at each other as enemies for the rest of time to come. That is wrong. That's a mistake. So I hope to be able to explain these papers to you, explain the American Constitution by looking at these papers, and most importantly, introduce you to the concept of federalism. I will create a playlist and name this playlist Federalist Papers for Us. I will include videos of lectures given by prominent, by expert American historians, political scientists, or roundtables that they talk about American history. We'll have to get familiar with American history, American civilization, and see how federalism has grown this last 230 years, because it is not a static thing. How different issues that have come up have been dealt with, because that's our whole project, is to learn from it. These papers were written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. James Madison has come to be known as the father of the Constitution. One of the things he did is he asked Thomas Jefferson, his friend who happened to be American minister to France, to send him books. He studied those books, learned about confederacies, ancient and modern. He looked at the American states after independence and wrote a memo, Vices of the Political System of the United States, what these states had done wrong. And with that knowledge, he was very instrumental in writing and shaping the American Constitution and federalism. We have 230 years of American history at our disposal. It's available to us. And we can study that and the other federal systems, and one day be knowledgeable enough, get together and unite. If you come along with me, I will share with you my life experiences over this past 40 years I've been in the United States, and we will learn more about federalism. Thank you for joining me.